You may have seen the headlines. Volkswagen is temporarily halting production at its electric car factories. In plants across Germany, specifically Zwickau and Emden, the production of some of VW's flagship ID models is being paused, they say for days, but it could be weeks at a time. The official reason? Weaker than expected EV demand. A VW spokesperson said the company is simply adjusting the production program to match current customer demand. But here's the catch that should make you question everything. In August 2025, Volkswagen became Europe's #1 most registered brand of battery electric vehicles, finally knocking Tesla off the top spot. Although Tesla still held that place for the best-selling model in August. Their global all-electric vehicle deliveries surged by a massive 47% in the first half of the year. Some reports show sales are up 45% year over year. So if sales are still growing and market share is strong, what is the real reason Volkswagen is hitting the brakes so hard that it needs to idle their production lines? The story VW is telling is that this is a temporary blip. But this production pause isn't the problem. It's actually a symptom. It's a smokescreen for much deeper, more catastrophic failures happening behind the scenes at Wolfsburg. I'm Dave, and I will reveal the factors Volkswagen isn't talking about, from a multi-billion-dollar software disaster to a collapse in their most important market that is forcing their hand. Well, first, let's be clear. Volkswagen isn't entirely wrong when it says demand is weaker than expected. It is. Across Europe, high inflation, economic uncertainty and shifting government subsidies have made consumers think twice about buying a new EV. But that's a storm that every automaker is sailing through. So why does VW, the clear leader, seem to be the one taking on the most water? The truth is that this slower demand isn't just a market trend. It is a direct consequence of VW's own past strategic blunders. The production halt isn't a sign of a temporary market dip. It's one of the first visible cracks from a foundation that is crumbling under the weight of a series of internal management failures. It's the answer to the question, what happens when a legacy giant tries to become a tech company and fails? A failure has a name. We're looking at the multi-billion euro software disaster. Years ago, Volkswagen made a fateful decision. It decided it wouldn't just build new EVs, it would build its own software from the ground up to compete directly with Tesla. And this was something it had never done before. This ambition was called CARIAD, an in-house software division, proudly described as the software powerhouse of Volkswagen Group. Well, in reality, it's been a financial black hole. Instead of a powerhouse, CARIAD racked up staggering operating losses, over $7.5 billion in just 3 years. It burned through cash while producing software that was, well, to put it mildly, a catastrophe. This wasn't just a balance sheet problem, it had devastating real-world consequences. Key, highly anticipated models like the all-electric Porsche Macan and the Audi Q6 e-tron were delayed by over a year, specifically because CARIAD couldn't deliver even functional software. That cost them. Imagine telling Porsche customers their new electric super SUV is late because, well, the code doesn't work. And for the cars that did make it to market, the damage was probably even worse. Early owners of the VW ID3 and 4 were plagued with constant glitches, frozen infotainment systems and system crashes. The user experience was laggy, buggy and infuriating. And that's a far cry from the seamless interface of a Tesla. And forget about all those fantastic over-the-air updates offering massive enhancements. Early VWs, the over-the-air updates were amazingly scarce, and cars needed to spend 24 hours in a service centre to even get one of those. When you're asking for a premium price, the software absolutely can't feel like a cheap tablet from over a decade ago. This disaster has eroded consumer trust and tarnished the brand's reputation for quality. People who were once VW loyalists now hesitant. This contributes directly to that slower than expected demand. Cars themselves, they're not bad, but the experience of using them is compromised, and in a market full of slick alternatives, that's a fatal flaw. The CARIAD disaster isn't a footnote in VW stories. It's a central reason customers are already looking elsewhere. And it's ongoing. For decades, Volkswagen was the undisputed king of the car market in China. It was their most important and profitable region, a cash cow that funded their global ambitions. They naturally assumed this dominance would continue into the electric era, and they were disastrously wrong. Right now, Volkswagen isn't just struggling in China's EV market, it's facing a near total collapse of its strategy. While its global EV deliveries were up, its BEV sales in China, the world's largest and most competitive EV market, saw a sharp decline in the first half of 2025, with some reports indicating a drop of over 34%. They are being absolutely annihilated by local competitors. Brands like BYD, NIO and XPeng, they're not just building cars, they're building rolling technology platform. They've got their software right. To a young Chinese consumer, VW ID3 or 4 can look and feel obsolete compared to a local alternative, and the onboard technology is several generations behind. It's not up to expectations, and nowhere near the local competition offers more advanced driver assists, much better digital ecosystem and a more compelling price. Cheaper price. In response, VW is in full-blown panic mode. They've announced a massive in China for China strategy, aiming to launch dozens of new localized models and partnering with Chinese tech companies to fix their shortcomings. This is very much a defensive move, an admission that their own technology wasn't good enough. Can anyone in marketing convince the Chinese buyers that the old brand VW has something new to offer? The failure in China puts immense financial pressure on the entire Volkswagen Group. China is the largest new car market in the world. Brands like VW earned about half their car volume and profits from there. The profits they once counted on from China, they're drying up, meaning every sale in Europe becomes infinitely more critical. This is why a production slowdown in Germany isn't just a local problem. It's a symptom of what is now a global crisis. They can no longer afford to have factories producing cars that aren't selling, because the financial cushion they relied on for decades, that's gone. Well, we're now getting to the core of how these failures connect to the factory shutdowns. So if this deep dive analysis is giving you a new perspective on the auto industry, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us dig into these stories that often the mainstream headlines miss. When a company is bleeding money from a software disaster and losing its grip on its more profitable market, what's it do? It cuts costs aggressively. For a while now, Volkswagen has been trying to undergo a massive restructuring program and coming face to face with the unions. The publicly stated goals are to become more efficient and invest more in e-mobility, but a key part of this strategy involves huge cost reductions, including a long-term plan to slash 35,000 jobs by the end of this decade. Now connect this to the present day. Halting production at the Zwickau and the Emden factories, it's the perfect opportunity to accelerate this cost-cutting agenda under the convenient banner of weak market demand. Think about it. This pause now allows VW to reduce worker hours, cancel shifts, put pressure on unions, all while publicly blaming external market conditions. It's a classic corporate manoeuvre. Use a short-term problem to implement a long-term and often painful strategic goal. While VW has guaranteed job security at these sites for now, as part of a broader agreement, these production shutdowns send a powerful message and set a precedent for future efficiency measures. The production halt isn't just about clearing out excess inventory, it's an operational chess move that fits perfectly within a much larger and more brutal cost-cutting campaign. They're using the market slowdown as an excuse to get their financial house in order, no matter what the cost to their workforce. Ultimately, Volkswagen's production halt is the result of being caught in the auto industry's worst nightmare, the squeezed middle. On one side, you've got the rock, that's Tesla. Whatever they say, it's still one of the best to beat, especially in China. Over there, it's doing amazing things. Tesla's done what VW is failing to do. It has convinced the Chinese buyers to buy their product. Look at the rush for the latest new Model YL, the six-seater version. Well, for all its own issues, Tesla still sets the benchmark for software, battery efficiency and brand cachet in the EV space. VW tried to compete head-on with its CARIAD software. It failed, leaving it looking like a technological laggard. And the battle's still not won. CARIAD soldiers on. But to date, it has not yet made the Chinese buyer any convincing software. On the other side, you have the hard place, the Chinese themselves. Your potential customers who have a massive influx of hyper-competitive brands like BYD, NIO, XPeng, MG, they're now flooding into Europe with EVs that are stylish, packed with figures, fantastic software, and most importantly, significantly cheaper. BYD Dolphin and the MG4 direct competitors to VW's ID3, but they offer a value proposition that a high-cost German manufacturer struggles to match. They probably no longer even hold the claim for superior production. Chinese are great at copying, and they've copied how to do that, and they're now at least equal in quality, if not ahead. And VW is trapped. They're not premium or advanced enough to command Tesla-level prices, but they're no longer affordable enough to compete with the new budget-friendly options from China. The cars are too expensive for the mass market that they want to capture and not advanced enough for the premium market that they aspire to and price at. And this is the fundamental reason demand is weaker than expected. They built cars for a market position that's already vanished. And when you're building cars for a customer that no longer exists, the only thing you can do is temporarily shut the factory down, desperately try to figure out a new plan. So when Volkswagen announces it's pausing EV production and blames the slow market, it's only telling you a fraction of the story. It's the fallout from a multi-billion-dollar software venture that delayed products and alienated customers. It's the shockwave from a strategic collapse in the most vital market, China, where they've been outmaneuvered and out-innovated. It's a convenient smokescreen for an aggressive cost-cutting plan that was already in motion. And above all, it's the painful reality of being squeezed out of the market by competitors from both above and below. It's actually the perfect storm. Well, this production pause is not a sign that Volkswagen is giving up on electric cars. Their long-term strategy still calls for dozens of new EV models. Instead, this is a forced reset. It's an emergency brake pull to prevent a complete strategic derailment. They're halting the assembly line not because of one slow week, month or season, but to frantically try and fix the deep structural cracks in their entire EV strategy before it's too late. But what could that be? Could it be to make better EVs that match their relatively high price points, or to accept that their place is in the mass-produced budget cars, think Polo, Golf, Beetle, and they're going to slash their prices in exchange for volume? Is there in fact a middle ground, or any answer at all? But what do you think? Is this a smart tactical retreat that will allow VW to come back stronger? Or is it the beginning of the end for their dream of becoming the world's EV leader? They may be there now, they may not be for longer. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and thanks very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this analysis, please be sure to like it, also subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video, breaking down the biggest stories in the auto world. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm Dave.